Hey all, welcome to Homeschool, and today I am with the top questions on a chapter Sustainable Management of Natural Resources. I have already completed all the concepts of a chapter. If you want to watch those videos, links are provided in the description where you can go click the links and watch. You get a detailed explanation on all the concepts that is there in a chapter. And coming back to the questions, these questions are helpful for both CBSE and SSLC board. So these were from your previous year's board papers. Usually, these are actually from CBSE board papers, but the same questions were repeated in SSLC board papers also. So I'm telling you, they can be helpful for both boards. Okay, so let us not waste our time. Coming back to the first question, write two advantages of water harvesting at community level. Okay, so what do you mean by water harvesting? Capturing rainwater and storing rainwater is called water harvesting. So, what are the advantages of water harvesting at community level? They are asking, right? So, what advantages you can write here? The first point is water harvesting technique recharges wells. Yes, say water harvesting techniques can increase the level of groundwater, and that way the wells gets recharged. So this is the first point you can write, and the second point is helps us to avoid exploitation of water is a natural resource, yes or no? And we are exploiting water by many ways. We are polluting water by many ways. So that can be avoided if you can go for water harvesting technique, right? Can you able to tell me what are the different water harvesting techniques in our country? Different states use different techniques, right? Like Khadeens and Nadis in Rajasthan, right? Buddhis in Madhya Pradesh, Kattas in Karnataka. So all these water harvesting techniques will help us to recharge the groundwater, as well as they help us to, avoid exploitation of water. I mean, water can get protected away from contamination, right? So it was asked for 2 marks. So any 2 points you can mention. Fine. Coming to the second question, very important, repeated question in many papers. Say this is a repeated question for SSLC board paper. So concentrate this question carefully. What is a dam? Why do we seek to build larger dams? What problems should be addressed to maintain peace among local people? So first question, what is a dam? So what is a dam here? Dam is a large unit which is used to store the water to a larger extent. Yes or no? So what I can write here? Dam is a unit used for storing water. And this is constructed. This is actually constructed across the rivers. Okay, next question is what? Why do we seek to build larger dams? Why do we build large dams? Large dams provide more water for irrigation, right? And we can generate electricity. So what you can write for this question? Why do we seek to build a large dams? Is because to provide irrigation. It is to provide irrigation and also to generate electricity. Isn't it? So these are the 2 points you can mention for the second question. Now the third question, which is the third question, what problems should be addressed to maintain peace among local people? There are so much of opposition to build a larger dams is because of 3 problems, right? So what are the 3 problems? One is social problem, second one is economical problem, and third one is environmental problems. What do you mean by a social problem? Social problem in the sense, say in the area where dam is constructed, many people would be living in that area already, so you have to evacuate them, right? They should displace from that area to another area. Okay, when they are displacing, government have to provide enough compensation and rehabilitation. Where we are failing to provide enough compensation and rehabilitation for the displaced people, that is what we call social problem. If we can face if we can give enough justice to the people who have displaced from that area, I think we can bring peace among the people. Yes or no? So here, what problem should be addressed to maintain peace among local people? In the sense, you can write the social problems. Among the three problems, you can mention the social problems. And little elaborately, you write what do you mean by social problems? Uh, you know, uh, displacing displacing people from that area, okay, where enough compensation and rehabilitation is not given for them. If you can sort out this particular problem, I think you can bring peace among the people, and there will not be an objection from the people to build the larger dams when you can give enough rehabilitation facilities and enough compensation for those people who were living in that area already. Okay, so this is how you have to answer this question. Very, very important question. Okay, coming to the third question. What is our third question? You being an environmentalist interested in contributing towards the conservation of natural resource, list 4 activities that you can do on your own. See, if you are an environmentalist and you are very much interested in saving our natural resources, what you will do on your own? Say, this was asked for 2 marks. It's a very general question. You can give a general answer which includes valid points. Okay, so what I would write here is, first point I would write is saving electricity. Saving electricity, right? Say electricity is a kind of energy that is generated from natural resources. Using natural resources, we are producing electricity. So when you save electricity, indirectly you can actually conserve, you can save the natural resources, isn't it? So that way I have written the first point as saving electricity. Okay, and then planting more trees. Planting more trees. Say, for the industrial purposes, we are cutting many trees from the forest. That way, deforestation is taking place in a society. But see, we can't avoid this. Say, we want industries for our living, they cut the trees, we use them. You can't avoid this. In that cases, what you have to do is you have to plant more and more trees so that you can give enough justice for the forest. Yes or no? So that way, forest conservation can happen. So second point I am giving here is planting more trees. And the third one is saving water. Saving water, right? Say whenever you find a leakaging taps, you have to off it, because it is our duty to save the water. Say, water is very precious. I told you in one of my videos that only 0.75% of the water on earth is groundwater, and that is a usable water. Say, and nowadays groundwater is getting depleted, so it is our duty to increase the level of groundwater, and conservation of water is very, very important thing. So the third point I wrote is saving water. And later, use public transport. Use public transport rather than private vehicles. So when we use a public transport, we can save our environment from pollution. So when everybody takes their own vehicles, it leads a lot of air pollution in the atmosphere, and that again leads to various environmental problems, isn't it? So instead of everyone taking their own vehicles, use one public transport so that we can save environment from pollution. So these are the 4 points I would like to write for this question, and this was asked for 2 marks, and this is also repeated many times in the CBSE board papers. Clear? Okay. And coming to the fourth question. List 4 stakeholders in the conservation of forest. So do you remember the word stakeholders here? What do you mean by stakeholders? Stakeholders are the people who use forest to produce. I mean, they use the various things that you get it from a forest. That means these are the people completely dependent on forest, and these are the people who can protect and save the forest. Okay, they are called as stakeholders. There are 4 stakeholders to protect the forest. Can you tell me? You have to list the stakeholders. The first one is local people. Local people are nothing but the people who live in a forest and who live around a forest. See, these are the people, they get a chance to protect a forest, and they are completely dependent on forest for everything, for their food, for their shelter, for their living, and they depend on forest. And next people are forest officers, or I can say government people. Forest department. Okay, government people. Say government owns the forest land, so it is the government who has to manage the forest to a larger extent, isn't it? So that's why government people are the second stakeholders here. And the third stakeholders are industrialist. You know what? Industrialists take raw materials from the forest actually, right? So that way the industrialists also depend on a forest, and it is their duty to protect the forest also. Fine. And the last and final stakeholders are nature and wildlife enthusiasts. Nature and wildlife enthusiasts. Okay, so these are the people who naturally have interest in saving or conserving forest and wildlife, and they are the one who has to bring awareness among the common people, right, in the protection of our forest. So you have to list the names of those 4 stakeholders: local people, government people, industrialists, nature and wildlife enthusiasts. So this is again a very common question that has been asked in the board examination. And let us see few more questions. Our next question is, out of reuse and recycle, which is a better practice and why? You know what is reuse and recycle? These are the 5 R's. Yes or no? They come under the 5 R's to save the environment. Can you be able to recall what were the 5 R's? We have like refuse, right? Reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. So these are the 5 R's. And reuse and recycle, right? Which is better? Reuse is always better. Reuse is better than recycle. Can you tell me why? Even this point I covered in my first video. If you want to watch in detail, you can go to the video link that is provided in the description. Okay, so now what do you mean by recycle? Recycle in the sense, with certain techniques, with certain energy, you are recycling the waste that is generated in the society, right? Say you are using a particular technology here, that means you are spending energy here, that means you are wasting energy, isn't it? So that is the reason always reusing it is much better than recycling. So what is the answer I can write? Which is better? In the sense reuse is better. Why they are asking no? So what is the answer that you can give? Recycling involves the usage of energy. The usage of energy, technology and money. Yes or no? You are setting up a larger recycling plants, right? And to set up a larger recycling plants, we need money to construct. So wastage of money is involved, and wastage of mainly energy is involved. So that is the reason it is always better to go for reuse rather than recycling. Okay, fine. And another simple question, because it is very simple and very direct, I have not brought that question in front of you. The question is, what are the 3 R's to save environment, or what are the 5 R's to save the environment? You just have to mention these R's, and their meanings also they have asked in some of the years. Their meanings are very simple. Yes or no? So you can write that answer. Right? That is one more important question which has continuously asked in the state board examination. I mean SSLC board examination. Okay, coming to the next question. Advantages of water stored in ground. What are the advantages of water stored in ground? So there are many advantages of water stored in a ground, right? This was actually asked for 3 marks in CBSE board. So what are the points you would mention? Groundwater actually recharges wells, that I discussed in the previous questions, right? And the second one is groundwater do not evaporate. Groundwater do not evaporate because it stays deep down on the ground. Evaporation of groundwater is very, very less compared to the surface water. I can say they do not evaporate. Water doesn't evaporate. Okay, fine. And the next one is, you are not providing a breeding grounds for mosquitoes. No breeding grounds. Breeding grounds for mosquitoes. When there is a stagnant water, mosquitoes appears when there is a stagnant water, right? Stagnant water is the main thing that is responsible for the formation of more and more mosquito larvae, right? So where groundwater, you don't have a chance of providing a breeding grounds for mosquitoes. So this is another point you can mention. And finally, what I can mention is, and groundwater stays away from contamination. It stays away from contamination. Yes or no? So groundwater is less polluted compared to the surface water. So these are the points you can mention for advantages of groundwater. Next question. List any 2 traditional system of water harvesting. List any 2 traditional system of water harvesting. Like, in our India, in many states, many water harvesting techniques are used, right? You can mention any of the 2. Say, for example, Khadins and Nadis used in Rajasthan. Used in Rajasthan, you can mention, and katas that can be used in Karnataka, you can mention, right? So any water harvesting techniques you can mention. Coming to the 8th question. State instances where human intervention saved the forest from destruction. See, local people involved in many cases to save the forest. So we studied 3 important local people participation in saving a forest, right? Can you able to mention them? The first one is Bishnoi community. Bishnoi community, they were meant for saving kejri trees. Kejri trees in Rajasthan. In Rajasthan. The name of a lady, that is Amrita Devi Bishnoi, with 363 others, sacrificed their life in saving kejri trees. Saving forest is a part of their tradition, is a part of their religion, and they feel that the forests are the sacred places, and every living organism has a right to stay on earth, right? So that's the reason, like, this is the first instance where we have observed local people participating in saving the forest, right? And the second one is the Chipko movement. Chipko movement can be asked directly in the examination. They would ask you what is Chipko movement. Okay, so what is Chipko movement? It is the hug the tree movement. Yes or no? Hug the tree movement. High up in the Himalayan region, what happened is some contractors had come to cut the trees, where the local women surrounded the trees, yes or no? Surrounded the trees, making strikes not to cut the trees. So that is what we call Chipko movement. And the third one is sal forest restoration. You know, government has actually failed to revive the sal forest, where the local people and with one person called A.K. Banerjee, they started cultivating more trees in the forest. They have improved around 1,200 hectares of forest, right? So that one instance also you can mention there, right? So these are the three main instances where the local people participated in saving the forest from destruction. Clear? Fine. Next question. Why do we need to conserve forest? So why forests are necessary for us? Why we have to protect the forest? You know, the major thing is soil erosion can be avoided. Soil erosion can be avoided if forests are there. Yes or no? During the time of floods, you know, soil washed away. You can avoid that when you have lots of trees around, isn't it? So forests to some extent protect us from soil erosion. And another one is, you know, constantly maintains or gives balance in the ecology. Forest gives balance in ecology. Yes or no? It can give, you know, when you destroy the forest, lots of biodiversity will get vanished. If biodiversity is getting vanished, you will find imbalance in the ecology. That creates a great problem in a society. So you can avoid that when you conserve a forest, right? So these are the two things you can mention, and this was asked for 2 marks. So any 2 points you can give as an answer. Let us discuss with the next questions. Coming to the 10th question. Although coal and petroleum are produced by degradation of biomass, yet we need to conserve these resources. Why? See, how is this coal and petroleum are produced? It is all because of decaying process of dead animal and plant waste. Yes or no? When these animals and plants die, they get buried deep down under the earth and they get degraded, they get decomposed, and that gets converted into coal and petroleum over million years of time. Yes or no? Say the degradation is a very slow process here, and biomass to get converted into coal and petroleum, it will take so many years. After many years of degradation, you will find the generation of coal and petroleum. So this is how the coal and petroleum is formed under earth. Yeah. So what they are asking you is, okay, they are produced by the degradation of biomass, that is plant and animal dead bodies. But still we have to conserve these resources. Why? Because coal and petroleum are non-renewable sources of energy. Non-renewable sources of energy. So what do you mean by non-renewable sources of energy? They are limited on our earth. They are limited. You can't use too much. When you use them too much, they will get over one fine day. Okay, they are produced from dead plants and animals, but to form coal and petroleum, it will take millions years of time, isn't it? It's a very slow process and it takes lot of time. That is the reason we say they are limited in our atmosphere. So they are non-renewable sources of energy. That's the reason you need to conserve these resources carefully. And this was asked for 1 mark in the previous year's CBSE board paper. Fine. Coming to the next question, which is relating to this only. Why are coal and petroleum categorized as natural resources? See, the answer is there in the question of this particular question, right? So why coal and petroleum categorized as natural resources? Because they are formed, because coal and petroleum are formed by the degradation of biomass, right? That is the reason we consider them as natural resources. Give reason why they should be used judiciously. I mean judiciously in the sense why we have to use them in a limited way. You shouldn't waste them, you should use them in a limited way, right? So why you should use them in a limited way? It is because they are non-renewable sources of energy. Non-renewable source of energy. And it will take million years to form coal and petroleum out of the degradation of biomass. So that is another point you can mention for this question. See, they are formed from biomass, no doubt, but to form it will take million years of time. That's the reason we say they are limited and they are the non-renewable sources of energy. So that's all about the chapter Sustainable Management of Natural Resources. I have covered almost all the concepts in the form of questions, where I picked these questions carefully from the board examinations, and most of the years these questions were repeated from the chapters. So concentrate the questions. If you have any other question, you can post it in a comment, so we will try to give the answer for that. With this, I end the session and we will meet up with the top questions of other chapters. See, each and every chapter is explained in detail and all the chapter playlists are provided in our channel, so you can watch them and get a complete clarity on the chapters, right from the chemical equations till the sustainable management of natural resources. All chapters are there on chemistry, biology and physics, so you can enjoy watching our videos, get 100% clarity on the concepts. And now we have started discussing about the top questions from the previous year board papers. Today we have discussed this chapter, and next video is on the top questions of the chapter acids, bases and salts. Thank you so much. Do subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in a easiest way and in a detailed way. All the best.